Okay, so we're all gathered here today at our meeting, the Society of American Archivists, for the UT student chapter to go over this safety education program. It's required by Texas Education Code section 51.9361 in the university that the three of us, your authorized reps, were required to attend a student leader training program in risk management this semester. In addition, the law requires us to present this safety training back to you all using the PowerPoint, the handouts that we distributed to you. The following presentation will provide you with important safety information that all you need to know in order to ensure the safety and welfare for all. It will be important to listen and pay attention. Also be sure to put your name, your UT EID, and the signature on the sign-in sheet that we put up at the front of the room. We were required to submit this information to the Office of the Dean of Students for record-keeping purposes, so try and stay awake. Alright, so basically the university required us to receive training on these topics: drug and alcohol possession and use, hazing, sexual assault and harassment, fire and life safety, travel, and student behavior at events, and adoption of risk management plan. These were the safety topics required to be covered under the law. In addition, the training we receive and are sharing with you is meant to be specific to student organizations. The majority of our presentation will be giving you the Cliff Notes version of these risk management issues, Cliff Notes being 54 slides. Let's start with the first one. The following section will discuss what constitutes hazing while also discussing the potential issues and consequences with hazing. According to the state of Texas hazing statute in Chapter 16 of the Institutional Rules of Student Services and Activities, hazing is defined as any intentional, knowing, or reckless act occurring on or off campus on an educational institution by one person alone or acting with others directed against a student that endangers the mental or physical health or safety of a student for the purposes of pledging, being initiated into, affiliating with, holding office in, or maintaining membership in any organization whose members are or include students as at an educational institution. As you read this definition, it's important to note, it does not matter if the act of hazing occurs on or off campus. It does not matter if you are recognized by the campus, meaning that you're registered. As long as you have students as members, you can be held accountable for hazing. Alright, so what about consent? Although hazing, some students may say things like nobody forced them to do it or we didn't make them do it. There is a power differential that exists that must be recognized in which new members allow themselves to be hazed. Under Texas state law, the fact that a person consented to or acquiesced in the hazing activities is not a defense to prosecution for hazing under the law or discipline by the university. A violation of the university's hazing prohibition renders not just the person inflicting the hazing, but also the person submitting to the hazing subject to discipline. However, the university may offer a person immunity from disciplinary action under certain circumstances. Okay, so let's talk about some myths about hazing. Myth: hazing is only a problem for sororities and fraternities. Fact: hazing is a societal problem. Hazing incidents occur among athletic teams, marching bands, the military, spirit organizations, religious clubs, etc. Myth: eliminating hazing makes an organization just like any other social club. It will be too easy to be a member. Fact: any group can haze new members. That's the easy way out. It takes vision and commitment to run a good non-hazing program like we do here at SAA. Okay, fact: regardless of intent, some group bonding activities designed to be all in good fun still may raise some safety concerns. Regardless of intent, some bonding activities designed to be all in good fun still may raise some serious safety concerns. Yeah, that's true. It will. All right, I messed that up. Who cares? Reporting the obligation. A person who believes that he or she has been subjected to hazing in violation of the Institutional Rules, Chapter 16, or a person who has knowledge of hazing activities should report the incident to the Dean of Students or another university official, administrator, or supervisor. The faculty member is not an official, administrator, or supervisor. For this purpose, unless that faculty member holds an administrative position, in any case, no person is required to report hazing to the alleged offender. If you become aware of or subjected to hazing, please report the incident to the Office of the Dean of Students. Contact information is listed above. It is important to be aware that not only can our organization be held liable for criminal charges in university discipline, but individual members can face these consequences as well. There's individual discipline, where you can be, if you're accused of violating the hazing prohibition policy; organizational discipline, where us as SAA UT chapter would be disciplined; or criminal and civil liability. Through the criminal process, the district attorney's office can investigate and press charges against the organization and the individuals. Through the civil process, individuals can be sued as an organization and as an individual. So the next thing we're going to move to is drug possession, use, and abuse. So is there really a drug problem on college campuses? The use, possession, or abuse of illicit drugs, steroids, prescription drugs, and over-the-counter medications is not a new problem in the United States. We've all heard the stories on the news or on the internet about police arresting someone for drug possession. What many people may not be aware of is that illegal use, possession, or abuse of drugs is also a problem on college and university campuses. The following section will discuss drug possession, use, and abuse and the various issues surrounding this topic. Furthermore, the section will give information on how to conduct an intervention if you feel someone you know is struggling with drug abuse. So let's look at some stats that we've got posted up here. First of all, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, approximately 40% of all adults in the U.S. will use an illicit drug at some time during their lives. This does not include the use of alcohol or prescription medications. A study conducted at UT by the Harvard School of Public Health in 2004 found that 28% of students smoked marijuana in the past year and 31% used illicit drugs in the past year. A study conducted at UT by the American College Health Association in 2008 found that in their lifetimes, 44% of UT students have smoked marijuana, 7% used cocaine, 7% amphetamines, 7% ecstasy, 10% other illicit drugs. So recognizing the signs of the drug use or abuse is one of the most important steps each of us can take in getting some help. While you may not remember every detail about someone's behavior, you should be on the lookout for some of these red flags that are symptoms of drug abuse and dependence. The person has life problems related to the use of alcohol or other drug use. For example, neglecting responsibilities or relationships. The person sets limits on how often or how much he or she will drink and exceeds those limits. The person makes promises to him or herself to someone else about drinking or using and then breaks those promises. The person lies about or tries to hide the amount and or frequency of his drinking or her drinking or other drug abuse. The person forgets or denies things that happen when he or she is intoxicated. In essence, they black out. The person behaves very differently when intoxicated when sober. So they get whiskey drunk and are really angry and they're pissed. The person tends to avoid social functions at which alcohol and or drugs may not be available, so they don't go out of their cave unless they can get drugs. The person feels guilty, embarrassed, or remorseful about things she said or did while intoxicated. The person has a very high tolerance, that he or she can drink or use a lot without acting or feeling intoxicated. The possession, use, or abuse of illegal drugs or abuse of prescription and over-the-counter drugs can result in significant physical, psychological, and other consequences for the person as well as family, friends, and others. In addition, substance abusers soon fall into a potentially destructive pattern. Obtaining and using the drug becomes more important than anything else, including school, work, friends, or family. In the past year, almost 1 in 4, 22.9% or 1.8 million full-time college students met the clinical definitions for alcohol and or drug abuse or alcohol and or drug dependence. Drug possession, use, or abuse can affect multiple areas of your life, including your health and well-being, your college education, graduate school admissions or employment, participation in athletic activities, relationships with family, friends, and peers. Okay, so how we can take action. You can talk with a professional, such as the University Health Service or the Office of the Dean of Students. There's confidentiality and anonymously report your concerns. You may feel uncomfortable confronting your friends and peers, but you can call the UT Behavioral Concerns Advice Line, which is reported up there with their contact information. And you can conduct an intervention. So say a number of us in SAA felt that someone was having a problem. We could all meet somewhere that's not the Dog and Duck and discuss how to intervene with this person and get them back on track. You can review the following web pages and legal consequences associated with a UT student who has been found to have illegally used, possessed, or distributed drugs. The objectives of this section on alcohol use and abuse include reviewing the common problems associated with alcohol use and abuse and the best ways to avoid the related hazards. Additionally, the training will briefly outline the legal and civil risks involved with alcohol services, along with efforts our organization can take to effectively manage the legal and civil risks. Alcohol overdose is another hazardous consequence of alcohol misuse and abuse. One of the biggest problems for students is they do not recognize when there is a real problem. Alcohol overdose is potentially a critical medical situation if you find someone passed out, but you cannot wake them or they are semi-conscious and incoherent. There may be a medical emergency if an individual is found vomiting without awakening, has shallow, irregular breaths, is cold, claiming pale or bluish skin, or they experience seizures, convulsions, or rigid spasms. If you see any of the signs of alcohol overdose, you should take every measure to ensure the safety of others and take these symptoms seriously. Oftentimes, students will notice the symptoms, but decide to let the person just sleep it off, not thinking the situation is too serious. The truth is that when anyone experiences one of these symptoms, the level of risk increases significantly for you or your organization. The first thing you should do is call 911 for help. Oftentimes, the 911 operator will ask you a series of questions to help guide you to best help a friend or fellow students in need. When help arrives, the best qualified professionals can assess whether further medical attention is needed. Next, you put the person in the Bacchus maneuver, which you see in the handout that we passed out to you. It is very important that you stay with the one person to ensure nothing further happens to them. The university policy clearly prohibits underage drinking, driving while intoxicated, public intoxication, and other misconduct consistent with state laws and statutes. Less commonly known is that individual students and student organizations can be subject to disciplinary action, whether the contact takes place on or off campus, or whether civil or criminal penalties are also imposed.